everyone, and welcome to this episode of Writers Infusion. I'm your host, Susan. I'm here with Ed, Julie, Jen, and Dave. And we are here today to critique a story. It's a romance excerpt. It's called Jar of Hearts by Anna Kaling. I'll start with the summary, and then Julie's going to read the story. So this is, when Alex Graham bats a cricket ball into Rachel Shaw's stomach, neither of them are expecting to fall in love. But as he loses the fight to resist his feelings for her, Rachel is getting closer to the secret that threatens not just their love, but their very lives. And this is the beginning of the story.
Chapter 1, Rachel. Rachel sat on a bench outside the clinic and watched a caterpillar crawling towards a fork in a tree branch. If it went left, she would go to the appointment. If it went right, she would cancel it. She crossed her fingers as it got closer. A couple of inches before the fork, the caterpillar veered over the edge of the branch and onto a leaf beneath it. "Well, you're no help," Rachel muttered. A man walking past gave her a strange look, and she pretended not to notice. The clinic loomed behind her. It was a modern building with an opaque glass facade promising discretion and a manicured garden that looked as expensive to maintain as their prices suggested. Rachel stared steadfastly at the marina in front of her. Her phone vibrated in her pocket, announcing a text message. If the message was from Allie, she would go to the appointment. If it was from Sam, she'd cancel it. Unless her cat had grown opposable thumbs, it could only be from one of her two best friends. Constance, her foster mother, had only grudgingly accepted cordless landline phones and refused even to discuss getting a mobile. When she saw Sam's name on the screen, Rachel sent him a silent thank you and opened his message. Sam, "No backing out, Shaw. If you don't go, we'll frog march you." Talk about mixed signals. Rachel, bully. She sighed and held the phone tightly in her hand, looking at the time display. Her appointment started in 4 minutes. If she was going, it had to be now. Sam, get in there now or I'll take your lunch money. Now I've got to go and put on a stupid hat. Love you. Rachel thought of Sam and Allie, the many patient hours they had spent coaxing her into making the appointment and reassuring her it would be fine. The long, dull hours she had spent working in the computer shop, saving up for the money to pay for it. The look that would be on Allie's face this evening if Rachel told her she had lost her nerve. 2 minutes to go. She had worked out that every 6 minutes of the appointment cost her an hour's wages before tax. She had prepaid for it in an effort to force herself to go, and her food budget was at rock bottom for the month. She slid off the bench in a hurry as a couple sat at the other end of it and started kissing passionately, apparently oblivious to Rachel's presence. The man slid his hands up his girlfriend's t-shirt and squeezed her hip. Rachel shuddered and went back to the train station. That evening, she and Allie decorated Sam's flat, ready for his surprise graduation party. "You don't think we've gone a bit overboard, do you?" she asked Allie. Sam was meticulously neat, and his flat was tastefully decorated in white with green accents and dark wood furniture. At the moment, it was brightened by 50 assorted balloons, purple and silver streamers, and a glittering banner. "I have no idea what you mean," said Allie. Rachel looked out of the window at the sound of an approaching car. "He's back!" She tossed empty balloon packets in the bin, while Allie shoved the stepladder back in the cupboard. They took up their positions on either side of the front door and waited as the key turned in the lock. "Congratulations!" Rachel pulled the string on a popper and watched a trail of pink and green strands float down onto Sam's startled face. He grinned and pulled them off his nose, throwing them back at her. "Sam Ayres, Master of Art," said Allie, aiming another popper at him. Sam ducked this time and caught the strands, throwing them immediately into Allie's blonde hair. "Hey," she said. "Welcome to your graduation party, most intelligent of us all," said Rachel. She held a gold balloon out and bowed several times. Sam took the balloon and bounced it first off her head, then Allie's. "Shut up," he said, still grinning, "but thanks." "I see having a master's degree isn't improving your manners," said Allie, brushing blue strands from her hair onto the carpet. "Thanks God I can rely on my looks," said Sam. He ducked as Allie threw the empty popper case at him and surveyed the room. "Tasteful," he said, nodding. "You better be grateful," Rachel said. "I have lockjaw from blowing up all those balloons. Allie was no help." Allie sat in an armchair and widened her eyes innocently. "Nobody was more upset than me when I couldn't help. Not my fault. I had a very important call just as we started on the balloons." Rachel covered her mouth and whispered loudly to Sam, "It was a wrong number." "Yeah, well," said Allie, "I was in charge of catering." Sam walked over to his coffee table, where several brightly colored crisp packets clashed with a lime green tablecloth. There's pizza coming too, said Allie defensively. I love it, thank you, really. Sam kissed Allie on the head, blew a kiss at Rachel, and sat down on the sofa. How was the ceremony? Rachel took a packet of tortilla chips and curled up in an armchair. Went on forever, but my parents seemed to enjoy it. I'm glad I didn't invite anyone else. I'd looked like a right jerk in that stupid hat and cape. Rachel could picture the look of fierce pride her foster mother would have if Rachel had ever graduated. Then she remembered Constance's tight-jawed expression when she had marched Rachel into school to get her GCSE results. Her birth mother hadn't cared then and wouldn't care now. Even a PhD wouldn't impress her. Not that Rachel had any hope of that. Please tell me there were pictures. Allie rummaged through a pile of snacks on the table and picked out a bag of popcorn. Sam grimaced. There are pictures, said Rachel. God bless that cameraman. Pictures that you will never see, Sam said. So did you go to the doctor, Shaw? No, she said, looking into the bag of chips as if there was something fascinating at the bottom. Sam didn't push it the way Allie had. He understood her aversion to therapy, having also been forced into it as a teenager. In his case, when he'd told his deeply religious parents that he was gay. One day she will, said Allie, won't you? Looking at the brave face Allie was putting on to cover her disappointment and concern, Rachel felt a wave of guilt. One day, I promise. An hour later, feeling very full of pizza, she asked to borrow Sam's laptop and searched for qualifications she could take in her spare time. Maybe she wasn't ready for therapy yet. She was definitely ready to get a better job, any other job. After a while, she closed the laptop and hugged her knees. No luck, Shaw? Said Sam. Rachel shook her head. I need either previous qualifications or practical experience. Unless I want to take a degree in working on a shop checkout, I'm doomed to minimum wage forever. You don't need a degree to be a scriptwriter, said Allie. She was lying on the sofa with her head in Sam's lap, half her attention still on the TV screen where a 24-box set was playing. I'm never going to do that professionally. It's just a hobby. I need to be realistic. So what qualifications were you looking at? Sam asked. Animal care. I volunteered at the sanctuary I got Jasper from years ago. It's the only other thing I've ever done. But even for that, you need a couple of good GCSE grades. Best I got was a D in geography. You have to think positively, said Allie, sitting up. Why not send your script off to wherever you send scripts off to? Because it's not finished, and even if it was, it's no good. Anyway, I need a realistic goal. Let me start by getting a different job in retail. One of the waitresses at the cafe is leaving soon, said Allie, referring to the coffee shop where she worked part-time. I could get you an interview. Rachel smiled. Thanks for thinking of me. I'm too much of a freak to work there, though. I've seen how crowded it gets when it's busy. It always came down to the same problem. If there was a way to get over her phobia, endless doors would open up. But she had been this way ever since she was a child, and no amount of wishful thinking or time was going to cure her. Speaking of work, I'd better go, she said, standing up. I can't be late tomorrow, or I'll have no job at all. Well, then you can spend all your weekends with us, said Sam. Do you want me to starve? We'll feed you, said Allie. You can live in my shed. Too generous, Rachel shrugged her jacket on. But you forget I'm a single mother. Jasper needs security. He's a cat, said Sam. And that's the closest thing I'm going to get to a human baby, and I'm not making him live in a shed and live on your scraps. She paused at the door to add, love you.
I like this a lot. I love the opening. The fact that she's letting a caterpillar decide if it goes left, she's going to the appointment. If she's going right, she's going to cancel it. I thought that was a great beginning.
Yeah. I do
I
like
love-
the start.
Yeah, I loved the start. I couldn't wait to read the whole piece, and I did. The start was so good, and we were right there with her. And then when we went right back into the Sam's flat, and actually I wasn't sure until the end who was really living there, by the way. There was so much detail about putting up the balloons and who's eating pizza, and I wanted to know, wait a minute, what happened? And it doesn't mean I have to know why she's sitting at the doctor's office. I think if you want to, you can hold that back. That can be kind of the mystery of, as we learn about her, why she's really there. It might be a very deep-rooted reason, not just because she has a phobia. There might be something else behind it. And I don't mind that being held back, but maybe after that scene, you go right into, she walks into the flat and they want to know, what are you doing here? Instead of just all this fluff. And I was a little disappointed that happened.
Well,
it wasn't.
I didn't mind so much. I don't know. I like that. I like the tone of it.
Yeah.
It's light, and there's a lot of funny things and clever. but I feel like there's like this hard reality below it. It's like she, you know, she has something going on that's disturbing her, that's affecting her life. And I'm not sure about the other two that's going on with them, but you know, it's that kind of light surface thing with this hard reality thing going on underneath it.
But you can still have a lighter dialogue to show what
Right.
they're like and still get right into the meat
It's
of
true.
what are you still doing.
Yep.
The author casts this doctor's appointment out as something clearly important, and then she bails from it. If it's a cancer,
That's what I thought.
then there's a reason to be terribly concerned. If there's a phobia of what? I don't know what the phobia is. It is a severe phobia. Can she, is half a problem just getting out of the house? There's so much that's just like touched upon that I'm lost. And then she says, I'm such a nut, later on. She says, all you're doing is telling me you're such a nut. I don't see any phobic anything in anything she does.
Yeah.
Good point.
So we're supposed to be concerned for somebody who clearly, no, we're being told needs medical assistance. I see no reason for it. And that to me is probably, and it's a weakness, I think. The writing of a play, okay, that's good, take us there. But we go, this is all cotton candy. There's nothing I can grasp onto and call, there's no protein in this story yet. You know, it's all sugar.
Yeah, I know what you're saying, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, you're right.
Because at the beginning, I kind of assumed, I don't know if it was, not because of the summary, I just assumed it might be something serious like cancer. And she's afraid to find that out, so she doesn't want to go in. But you're right, if it is more of a phobia thing,
It's frivolous.
then as she, right, and if there is a phobia thing, then as she's sitting outside, she's sweating even at the thought of going into a building. You know, I mean, whatever it is, you have
Yeah.
to somehow show.
And somehow
Like you
it's
said.
related to her past.
Right.
So I thought she was pregnant in the beginning.
I did too.
That's another one.
Ah,
That's
Yeah.
another
that's another
possibility.
one too,
That's
yeah.
what I, so yes, so I mean,
Yes.
I'm not sure why you're holding that information back. And if it's to create curiosity, I think you might have missed the mark on that, because you're just creating frustration and confusion, so just name it. There's really no reason, it's really not what's wrong with her, it's how is she gonna get over what's wrong with her.
Right.
So just tell us what's wrong with her in the beginning, and specify why she's there. Tell us what the phobia is.
Yeah, when I got to the,
Yes.
when it said phobia, I said to myself, am I supposed to know by now what the phobia is? Because I didn't.
There's nothing there.
Is that to
Right.
indicate what
Right.
it is in
Right.
anything that she does?
Right.
And that's part of the good writing. If you can create a person that has a phobia, and I, the reader, will say she has a phobia, then you've done a good job. When you tell me she has a phobia and show me nothing, then it falls flat, sadly.
Yeah.
Because
Right.
right at the end, it always came down to the same problem. If there was a way to get over her phobia, endless doors would open up, but she had been this way ever since she was a child. And no amount of wishful thinking or time was going to cure her. That's a big summary, as you know, Dave is saying, you're telling us that. But instead of showing us through scenes and
Right.
thinking and so forth, what
Right.
it
I mean,
is.
she
I
seems
asked-
to be able to travel,
function
she
and-
goes to the appointment, I mean, she doesn't go in, but she
She
goes to
gets
the
on the
appointment.
train there,
She has a
sure.
job.
She has on a
It's not
train.
claustrophobia, because she gets on the train, right? It's
Yeah.
not,
Ah.
Yeah, that's right.
It's not agoraphobia. 'Cause you
It's
go,
not
"No,
cats."
It's not
It's not
cats.
cats.
You know, what would be about a restaurant? Is it crowds maybe? Because
She
she's
did
saying
mention
how
crowds. We still don't
maybe
know.
it's crowds.
But I mentioned show also, please show us that phobia, and above that she says I'm too much of a freak to work there. And I'm wondering, how is she a freak? You
Exactly.
gave us only Allie's hair
Yes.
color, we have no other description, so isn't
Yeah,
that
how
physically
is
she
she?
looks like a freak? Is she pierced, is she tattooed?
Sounds like
Is
college
she
age.
disfigured somehow from a burn? I don't know. I also, because this says chapter 1 Rachel, I also beg you to put more focus on Rachel in the Rachel section. You've sort of given even
Diluted.
distribution, just diluted. We really should know more about her. In her head, I really love the start. Do more of that.
Yeah,
Tell us
that's
what she's thinking or how she's
Yes.
reacting, interacting, bouncing off the other characters. And although the party, the graduation party fell a little flat, in the flat, a lot of Britishisms here, by the way. I'm wondering where they're all situated. You have an armchair, and a sofa. And I'm wondering where they are, because that also could tie into her freakishness or her phobia. Because Allie and Sam are cuddled with each other at one point. Other times they're separate. Does she avoid people? Is she close to these two? Does she interact? Does she keep her distance? Really tell us more about Rachel, please.
And I definitely want to know how old Rachel is, and understanding that this isn't happening in America, so there were some other terms that I didn't understand, but just because I don't understand it doesn't mean anybody, nobody else will. But I did want to know how old she was, because when I think foster mother, I think, okay, she has to be under 18 if she still has a foster mother. But yet one of her best friends just graduated with his master's degree, which tells me he has to be at least 23.
Yeah, I was
Right.
thinking,
Maybe she's contemporary.
Although it might be different in England, I don't know, but that was confusing, but again, if it's just a British thing and Americans wouldn't understand it, and that's okay, then that's totally fine.
I'm always sensitive to connotations of things like names, and to have a character name, he doesn't appear in this part, but he's in the summary, Alex Graham. In other words, Alexander Graham.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, why did
Oh,
we do
yeah.
that?
You,
I didn't know that.
I knew
you
something
want
was
to be careful
familiar.
with
Did I
names.
get that?
I knew something was familiar about that name.
Yeah.
Unless that plays into unless
Yes.
the parents specifically know that and there's
Yeah.
a reason
Yes.
for it, then yes.
Telephone or something.
So,
Yeah.
I don't know.
And I'd like to know the significance of the title. Don't tell us, but it's interesting to our hearts.
It is, I like the title.
Well, there's a
I
song
don't know what
called
it means
Jar
yet,
Jar.
but it's a cool
Yes.
title.
Well, there's a
Oh,
song
yeah.
called,
Oh,
popular
yes,
song
you're
called
right.
Jar
Oh,
Jar.
okay.
Is this the author from, is this
I
an
think
American
so.
author? Or is
No,
this
I
Maine,
don't think I-
Maine on the Canadian border, I believe, no?
I think she might be Canada.
Oh, okay.
No, I can't remember.
Okay, cool.
And my notes are right over there.
Oh, and tell us about Rachel's script. She's written a screenplay, she's written a script of some sort, please just
Send
give
it
us the
in.
subject.
Yeah.
Tell us
Critique it.
tell us
Yeah,
the
we'll
nature
act
of
it
it.
out for you.
That's right, we've done that before.
It may actually it may examine her phobia, or it may be an alter ego, but please
Oh,
mention
that's
something
true.
about this script that's in
Right,
the heart of
right.
this scene.
Yeah, I think it boils down, Rachel's the main character, and I don't know anything about Rachel, other than
Right.
she didn't go to the doctor's. If she's odd, great,
Yes.
great, make her
Show
odd.
us.
That draws my curiosity, this bizarre character. Good, that's what makes good writing.
Right.
Right now, she's kind of bland, but you have real potential here because you set her up in a circle of friends and in a situation that could very well develop into a super nice story. Right
Yes.
now, this sounds like the first clearing of your throat. Now you're going to sing an aria, and what you'll do is you'll take this and make it into a very, isolate on Rachel, because Rachel's the main character. Show us who she is and why she acts the way she does. Get us into her phobia and perhaps some of the reasons for her phobia, whatever it is. But that's the real art of writing, bringing out a character and making the character crisp and clean and clear. Right now, I'm confused.
Yeah, and I would like obviously the best friends are going to play a significant role. So I would maybe read some books that have best friends that have significant roles. So I think of Bridget Jones' Diary, or I think of even the movie Pretty Woman, where Julia Roberts' best friend is another prostitute. But their scenes together are important,
Oh,
and
League
they
of Their
progress the
Own.
plot forward. So
Rosie
how does
O'Donnell,
this?
Gina Davis, League of Their Own.
What is it?
Friends.
Oh, League of Their Own. So,
Baseball.
movies and books that have best friends that play a significant role, and kind of see how those scenes should progress the plot. This doesn't, the scene with the friends is fun, and I really do like Sam and Allie, and I think that their personalities shine through, and I like them a lot, but that scene should still progress the plot forward somehow.
Right.
And I just want to echo, I loved the first scene, like when I first, the opening scene was fantastic.
Yes,
absolutely.
So I want to commend you on that.
So Pretty Woman is about a prostitute?
Yeah.
I'm going to see that movie.
You haven't seen that movie?
I've never seen
Pretty
it.
You've
Woman?
seen that movie
Julia
30
Roberts?
times?
Oh, it's
Sorry.
one rock.
It's a
Yeah.
romantic comedy,
I
but.
spend my time watching baseball. In the fall.
Well, then you might like A League of Their Own.
That's good, I like that. I like that.
All right.
There you go.
I just want to give one example, because I don't know if we actually did that yet, but if just as an example, if this woman has a phobia, for example, and she goes to get back on the train, maybe she can't. Maybe she starts sweating and backing up and freezing in place. So when we're talking about trying to show rather than tell, instead of telling us she has a phobia, show it just through her actions, and we can
Yes.
almost figure it out
Demonstrate
as
somehow,
opposed to
yeah.
just telling us.
Yeah.
And then maybe you'll go back into why she has that or whatever, but at least think about all the actions that she's taking, that they also express who she is as a person.
Yeah, that's the good writing, when you express something and the reader comes away with the solution.
Yes.
You never name it.
You never name it. You
Ah,
could,
right.
this happens and this happens and she does this and she does that, and she has a phobia of
Right.
something.
Crowds.
Yeah. And rats.
Yeah.
Oh, we talked about
Rats,
that.
that was
last
the
time.
other,
That
right,
story.
the
Yeah,
other
that's
episode. Is there anything else?
No, the writing is great though, I really did
Yeah.
enjoy the
Yeah.
writing. You obviously
Yes.
have a good
Love the
command
tone.
of the language and a really nice writing voice.
I like the tone too, I thought it was really good. So you have a lot here to go with.
Yeah.
So I hope this helped. Thank you for submitting. We enjoyed reading your work. Thank you everyone else for watching, and we will see you on the next episode of Writers Infusion. Keep writing.
I'm wondering how one writes text, if it's different.
I
font.
put
Very
that
curious
too.
about
Well, you
that.
could
We
do
discussed
it the way
that
she did it, where she has
With the
Sam.
colon, the name of the
Where she
colon.
has Sam.
It's simple.
italicized
I think
or
she should
anything?
piece that up. It's indented. I see that one.
You know, I looked in the Chicago Native Style, and this is a
Did they have
perfect
that?
good way of doing, there are many ways to do
When they text
quotations.
each other on the
Text.
phone.
But it's
Yeah.
just, it's
Text.
really a quotation, right? It's just another variation on a quote. So the way she did it with Sam,
Yeah.
with no quotes, with,
And I had to
then
look up frog march.
Rachel.
I didn't know that phrase.
I don't know what
that
Frog
is.
march. Frog march is when you pin someone's hand
Yeah.
behind and you push him
Right.
Okay,
forward.
is it
Oh.
hyphenated though? I
So
couldn't
you guys
find
did
it.
What
Okay.
does this sentence mean? She asked to borrow Sam's laptop and searched for qualifications she could take in her spare time.
I think that's where
I
the
think
British,
courses,
British
Yeah.
I think it's
in.
coursework.
Yeah, I don't know if
But
it's
she mentioned
exams
qualifications
or
later about,
tests
right,
or-
credentials.
They had
Yeah.
You
qualifications.
want
don't
to
search
take
for
a degree.
qualifications, you search
A job.
for, I don't know.
Right.
But that might be
But
how they say
yeah,
it,
you're
and then it
right,
was like, you
yeah.
know, take a degree,
Yeah,
or,
yeah, exactly. That's
you
what
know,
I'm
Right.
a 24
What does
box
this
set
mean?
was
Yeah, I
playing,
circled
I
that
didn't know
also
what those
because-
were.
Yeah, and
I
there was
didn't
an
know.
acronym
But,
Is this a
too.
but
commercial
Dave, a few
exam
paragraphs later,
or-
she writes, I need either previous qualifications or practical experience, so she uses it two different
Yeah.
ways, I agree.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it might be that's how they say it.
Right.
Do you know what I mean?
Yes,
And
yes.
that's why I was saying,
Sure.
like,
Yeah, but-
American,
But if
so.
you
We're calling the shots here.
Excellent.
You're right, you're right.
That's true.
You have,
You're
if I
right.
don't understand it, it's wrong.
That's right.
You are.
If I don't agree with
Okay,
it.
well, no, you're writing for a big audience, so everyone should get
Yeah.
it.
Yes.
So there must be a way to
Yeah,
explain
like-
it while you're
yes.
saying
Yeah, like I
qualifications.
read Bridget
I
Jones'
don't think you
Diary
have
and
to
I
be-
understood everything she was saying,
Mhm.
like it was, but it was obviously British, you know, but I could
Right.
still
Yeah.
know what she was
Right,
saying.
that's right. We're not saying you have to be like
Clockwork
American.
No,
Orange,
no,
I
no.
didn't understand at all.
Which one?
A Clockwork
Oh, I
Orange.
think I watched
Oh,
that.
that's its own language.
Well, yeah, it's got a,
It's its own
it's got a
language.
dictionary in the back. and all
Well,
the
it
words.
mixes
philosophy.
Russian, it mixes a whole bunch of different languages.
So if they
use
Scott
Yiddish,
and
I
I
understand
dressed as
that.
him for Halloween one year, it was a huge hit.
All right,
Yeah.
I'm gonna stop it.